Testing. Here we go. Good evening, everybody. Hello and welcome to another Wednesday night Bible study here at Faith Baptist Church. So glad to have everybody this evening. I saw Sylvia say good evening to you. Hello. You guys be sure to say hi there in the comments, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook. Be sure to leave a little comment saying hello. You guys do me a favor before we get started with prayer requests. Leave a like on this. It's a free and easy way to support this ministry. It lets other people hear this lesson. That's all it does. It doesn't earn me or this church a single dime, but it does get the word out. And that is all I care about. So you guys be sure to click that little thumb, and it spreads the word of God out, and it gets me very, very excited. I would take, if it was up to me, and I just want to say this real quick, I would take 1 million views on a video of like preaching and the word of God over $1 million being donated to the church. I would take the first before the second, because that's the more important. Now, having said that, we do have a lot of people to pray for this evening, so I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. We want you guys to be sure to pray for everybody this evening. If you have something I didn't mention or an update on something I did mention, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know. We're going to start with Nancy Hall this evening and update you guys on her. We've been praying for her for a while. Sadly, I hate to inform you, she has passed away. She had another stroke and she didn't make it. Her health was pretty poor, and it was, as I understand it, kind of long odds. So just pray for her family. That's going to be the Hall and the Kennemer family. Just be in prayer for all of those people. Anytime, it's a really bad time for an amen. Anytime you lose somebody, it's hard. It's very, very difficult. I understand that Nancy is survived by her father, which is something no father should ever have to endure. So you guys really, really pray for their family this evening. I would greatly appreciate it. Pray for Wayne. We've been praying for a while, Wayne Robinson. He's still trying to get those infusions that we had mentioned. He's got a UTI, I think I was told. And that is keeping the insurance company from paying for the infusions until his health is a little better than 100%, and they can't get him these infusions the way that he needs them, because he needs them every week, and he needs somebody, because they live a ways out, and they need somebody to come give them to him. So he needs them to come do it. Insurance won't pay for it until he's in better health. So pray for his health. Pray that he can get these infusions, because he's already got some rattling in his chest, and they're worried that that might be the early onset of pneumonia, which obviously could get very bad very quickly. So really, really pray for Wayne Robinson. He's got an appointment tomorrow at 2:45. So you guys put a little reminder on your phone, whisper a prayer for Wayne Robinson tomorrow. David, good old David, we know David, that's Amanda's dad, that's Sylvia's husband. Got one of the injections into his eye that he needed. He got that today? Yeah. And he needs to get one more injection in his eye before he can get the cataract surgery that he needs. That is a brave man. Let me tell you something. I don't care how bad my eyes get. Nobody's coming within 100 feet of my eyeball with a needle. So that's a very brave man. But do continue to pray for David. He can get all this worked out. Update on Ron. We've been praying for Ron for a little bit. He's out of the hospital. Your prayers have done some work, folks, because he did not lose his leg. The Lord heard you, and he's answered this prayer. He did not lose this leg. He did lose some muscle tone in the leg. He's in a rehab center right now, trying to get that leg worked out. They're trying to get him back home and getting him that health care at home so he doesn't spend too much time in the health care center. They're worried about him being in there too long and it being bad for his health in the long term. But just pray that he gets home quickly. But the Lord is at work because they were sure they were going to have to amputate, and they did not have to amputate. So some good news there. We're praising the Lord on that one. Do be in prayer for Shannon. Many of you who are on our group me might have seen earlier that we asked prayer for Shannon, who is currently in the hospital. Shannon's another one we've been praying for a while. She's back in the hospital. She's got some throat swelling. Her breathing is really bad. And we're praying for her to get some relief and some answers as to what's going on with her and how to take care of it. So continue to pray for Shannon in these things. We also want to mention, we've prayed back and forth for Mrs. McCombs. You may remember was Jacob's old teacher, is now Lizzie's current teacher at Clara Love Elementary. And she wasn't at work today. Called in a little bit later than normal. I'm not sure if she just had some back issues all of a sudden and needed to rush to the ER, but she did have to go back to the ER with her back issues today. That's all the information we have on that. So just pray for Mrs. McCombs, because last time she had back issues, she had to go have full-blown surgery and was out of commission for a very long time. So just really pray for her that this doesn't get too bad for her. Other than that, more the same. Continue to pray for Beverly Hamilton and her feet issue, which may not seem like a big deal to some people, but I'm telling you guys, you get a foot issue and you get where it's painful to take steps, and every little thing becomes a big thing. So really pray for her for that. Liliana had her operation, I understand, yesterday. So Amanda let me know that it went really good, so be in prayer for Liliana as she recovers and so forth. Last time she had the surgery on the other side for her other ear, she was supposed to be down for a while. If you know this child, I call her a child. She's not a child, I understand this, but she's a child to me, because if she wasn't, I'd be old, and we can't have that. I taught this little girl in junior church, so anyway, enough debating with my wife over the microphone. She's supposed to be home for a long time, and of course, knowing Liliana, she was not as long as she should have been. That's just the way that she is, and we accept her for that, because I have one of those myself. Amanda's like that a lot. She should be down. She should be taking care of herself and recovering. She wouldn't be. I remember when she broke her leg before we started the church. And she's supposed to be on the couch, not getting around, not moving. She'd be wheeling all around this house doing stuff she wasn't supposed to be doing. So pray for Liliana as well. I think that's everything that I have. If you guys have something... Oh, I'm sorry, Sylvia. I just saw your comment. She said, no, her dad died a few months ago.
Yep. I was not informed. I did not know.
So is that Nancy Hall?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got some bad information. Nancy Hall is not survived by her father, which is also tragic, but more the natural course of things, isn't it? To say goodbye to a father is always tragic and awful and gut-wrenching, but is more natural than the other way around. So do pray for that family. If he'd passed away a few months ago, they are really going through it now. So really, really pray for them. If anybody, going through tragedy, loss, or anything, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling down, no matter who it is, no matter what you're going through, please, 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 I'm encouraging you, I'm begging you, reach out to somebody. Call somebody up, let them know you're having a hard time, talk to somebody. Don't just sit in the dark and go through it by yourself. If you don't have anybody, call me. My phone number is on the church's website. It's out there in the public. Grab it. Give me a phone call anytime, night or day. If I don't answer the phone right away, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. People say that on their voicemail. As soon as I can, I'll get back to you. Just leave me a voice message saying, hey, this is so-and-so. I heard you talking the other day. I'm really going through it and I just need to talk to somebody. I will call you back and we will talk. If I can't help you, I will put you in contact with somebody who can. Don't go through it by yourself. So I think that covers everything we needed to talk about today. She has 3 daughters. Okay. So be in prayer for those 3 daughters for sure, but also I understand the larger family also kind of struggling with this. So just be in prayer for all of these people this evening. All right, so tonight we're in Judges chapter 13. I don't know how many of you guys, I don't know if I can show you this image. I was so blown away by this image that was created. If you guys on YouTube, you've seen this image. You guys who are not on YouTube, you can't see this image. I am going to pull it up for you really quick. Let's see. Where is it at? Put it just above the video capture device. Well, that's not the image. Well, that's me. Don't move me. Bruce.
Did something to the YouTube one.
Oh, goodness. Facebook is freaking out. I didn't mean for that. Okay. Why is it? It's moving. It's not capturing it correctly. I really want you guys to see this because it was very, very impressive.
You show my phone?
Automatic. Let's try Windows 10. There we go. Look at that image. That's the art for tonight's lesson. We're in Judges 13, and it is a great lesson, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to our Bible cam. Hello. All right, great. All right, so we are in, as you can see, Judges chapter 13. We've got a very cool story for you guys this evening. So we're talking about the title of the sermon. Some of you guys may have seen online. The title of the lesson this evening is The Birth of Samson. The birth of Samson doesn't happen until the last 2 verses of this story, but this is about his parents and their conceiving him. Not all the nitty-gritty details, just the part where the angels show up and God speaks to them and so forth. It's actually a very cool story. And so it starts here in verse 1 where it says, "The children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord." So this sort of captivity that they go into this time, it's going to be for several chapters that we're dealing with this. Because it tells the story of Samson. And the story of Samson is such a whole, complete picture that so many people miss because you get the highlights in junior church. And then by the time you become an adult, you're like, yeah, I don't need any more Bible. I got the gist of it. You really didn't. Right? When it comes to the Bible, we teach in layers. Okay? So, sorry guys. So the things that you get in junior church as a kid is just the surface of all the amazing stuff that's in the Bible. So, for example, a lot of people don't know this story. In Judges 13, the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. So that's the overall. This is the situation they're in. The Philistines have captured the nation of Israel. Now we zoom in from verse 1 to verse 2. We narrow in, like we do so often in the Bible, from the overall to a specific man and his specific family. In verse 2 it says, "There was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah." I gotta say, usually these Bible names are a little hit and miss. That's a cool name. Manoah? Why are we naming all of our kids like the J names in the Bible? Jedediah, Jephthah, why are we giving them why not name your kid Manoah? If you want to give him a weird name, give him the name Manoah. That's a cool name right there.
Okay.
It's a little late for ours. We gave ours kids normal names like Jacob and Elizabeth. But this man's name was Manoah. I could say that name all night long. Manoah. It's just so cool. Manoah. And his wife was barren and bare not. This is the burden of many women. Some people can't have kids. So for some people, it's not in God's will that they have children. Some people, it's in God's will that you adopt a child that needs a loving pair of parents. Just because you can't have kids doesn't mean that God intended for you not to raise kids. right? An adopted child is as much your child as a child that you've given actual, that your wife has given actual birth to. Excuse me. So she was barren. She bare not. Back then, that wasn't as much an option as it is today. So in verse 3, it says, the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman. And it's very, very important that we understand at this point in the story that this angel of the Lord was an actual angel of the Lord and not the Lord himself. This is not a pre-incarnate Christ. This is an angel. And said unto her, behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not. So reading this through for the first time, I thought, why does the Bible repeat itself like this? Why, like we read before in verse 2, wife was barren, bear not. The angel of the Lord shows up, and he says the same thing over again. But did he? Did he repeat himself? Because he didn't. Notice what he said. What was different between what was said in verse 2 and what was said in verse 3 is this word I'm highlighting right there. And, oh gosh, I got to stop hitting that. Right there in the Blue Letter Bible is the word now. He said unto her, behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not. Now is the context. That one little 3-letter word is everything. Guys, it's everything. Because you may not have what you want now. That doesn't mean that God's not going to do something tremendous for you later on. And we would like to know how much later on. We don't get to know. We're the same kind of people. That's like the kind of people that go to read a book and they read the last page first because they want to know how it ends before they invest in the whole book. I mean, we read the back of the book in Revelations. We know how the story of the world ends. But your story, you don't get a sneak peek. God's not going to tell you. And we talked about this a little bit last week. There's a temptation for Christians when we really, really crave an answer to go outside, when spring has begun and think about the kind of things that are going to pop up in spring and close our eyes and say, okay, God, if I'm going to win the lottery on this Friday, let me see a butterfly. Now, it's March. It's March 26th. You know darn well you're going to see a butterfly. But we want to feel like God's giving us this answer. And that way, if it doesn't happen, we can be disappointed with God. And we say, God, you said. No, he didn't. You put words in his mouth. He didn't say that. He's not going to tell you what's going to happen. You have to trust him. What he does say is, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, right? So what he's saying to this woman, an angel, the word in the New Testament, angelos, means messenger. What this messenger from God is telling this woman is, you do not have kids now. You don't have your dream job now. You don't have the kids you want now. You don't have the house you want now. You don't have the kind of income you want now. You don't have the kind of friends that you want now. But that's where we live. We live in the now. And we have to, as Christians, learn to stop doing that. Right? Because we've got to understand that God does not live in the now. Right? God sees the whole thing. He knows what's going to happen. And we just got to say, you know what, Lord? These things may only be temporary. The troubles I'm dealing with today, they're today. They're now. Tomorrow, you'll have a solution for me to get through the day. And I'll accept that and I'll enjoy it. And then the next day, we'll take care of the next day. Sorry. That word now, I just really wanted to focus on that for a minute. Verse 4, he says, now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine, nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. So, the word for wine in the Bible, in the Greek and in the Hebrew, is just a word that means like of the vine, like of the grape. And it doesn't carry with it any sort of connotation as to whether it means alcoholic or non-alcoholic. So how we determine that is with context. We use the context to let us know. In this one, we can say affirmatively, we're talking about alcohol, alcoholic wine, alcoholic strong drink, because that's what strong drink is, right? We call the liquor, we call it, right, hard. It's a hard drink. And that's why they call sodas soft drinks, because it's sort of the opposite of liquor. So strong drink, we know that means alcohol. We do. So what he's saying to her here, and this is always interesting because science had to catch up to the Bible in this, because he's saying, you're having this child, his name is going to be Samson. We're going to see that in a minute, spoiler alert. But what he's saying to her here is don't drink any alcohol. Now that's interesting because now we know that when women get pregnant, they shouldn't drink any alcohol. Interesting that this drink everybody wants to pretend is okay is killing unborn babies. Kind of makes you wonder if we're supposed to be drinking it, right? I'll let you chew on that for a bit. But this wine and strong drink, he's telling them not to drink it. Anytime you see the context of alcohol and you're certain it's alcohol in the Bible, it's never in a positive light. Anytime it comes right out and says strong drink or drunk or anything like that, it's never in a positive light. I'll just let you marinate on that for a little bit. Do not drink. It is a sin. You have other pastors that say, well, good men disagree. That's fine. Good men may disagree. God doesn't disagree. Alcohol is a sin, and you're going to have to get over it. Anyway. Can I get an amen on that one? It says in verse 5, for lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son. And now we're coming into, notice the separation. Because in verse 4, not drinking wine, not drinking strong drink, not eating of any unclean thing is made separate from what we read in verse 5, which is called the vow of the Nazarite. Thank you, Sylvia, for the amen. I appreciate that. So in verse 5, he says, thou shalt conceive and bear a son. And then we get into the rules of what's called the vow of the Nazarite. And it says, no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Now, let me explain this phrase, Nazarite. Okay? Now, people have confused someone who's a Nazarite with someone who's a Nazarene. Okay? So, you see these pictures of Jesus as he's painted, and little Jesus figurines that I've seen running around here that people find hilarious, and I'm internally screaming at, but that's fine. To each his own, right? Some people have a problem with it, some people don't. I'm not going to yuck your yum. You guys enjoy yourself. But Jesus did not have long hair. Jesus did not have long hair. Jesus was not a Nazarite. Okay? He was a Nazarene. He was from Nazareth. That doesn't make him a Nazarite. That makes him a Nazarene. So the vow of the Nazarite is something you choose to take upon yourself, or in this case, God placed upon this unborn child because he was going to be God's chosen judge. He shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So there it is. Then the woman came and told her husband. Always a good thing to do. If an angel shows up, by the way, ladies, if an angel shows up and gives you a message from God, it's always a good idea. Go let your husband know. That's a joke. You can laugh at that. That's okay. You're allowed. There's always one in the peanut gallery, isn't there? Anyway, a man of God came, she told her husband, a man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God. So in this portion of the story, this is actually pretty cool because what we do is we learn a little bit about the nature of angels. Okay? We learn a little bit about what they look like. Again, the paintings are misleading. First of all, we're talking about Jesus being a Nazarene. He didn't have long hair. He also wasn't a white man. He didn't grow up in the Midwest. Jesus wasn't born in Ohio. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Jesus was born in the Middle East. There are people that would bump into Jesus in the street, in the walkways, and have no idea that they just bumped into God. Now, if they did a bump into the only white man in, millions of miles, that would have been truly a miracle. If he glowed everywhere he walked, that would have been miraculous. That's art. It's there to artistically set aside the difference between Jesus and the rest of the people being painted. He didn't really look like that. Okay? He looked like every other person in the Middle East. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's what your Jesus looks like. And if you say, well, not my Jesus, well, then you're worshiping an idol and a false god and not the real Jesus. And you're going to have to come to terms with that. On the same note, angels are not beautiful women with long flowing hair in robes with wings. Okay? That's not what angels look like. Angels don't have wings. If they will, Pastor, how could, every time you see an angel anywhere, and Catholic artistic sort of thing, anywhere you see like these things, angels have wings everywhere they are. And where would that come from? Why would we all collectively accept that angels have wings if they don't have wings? Never one time in the Bible does it ever mention an angel having wings. Now we're talking your common angel. You can go and you can talk about your cherubims. You can talk about your seraphims. And those are angels. And yes, the Bible does describe them as having wings. The Bible also describes them as having 4 different faces, some of which include the face of a lion and an eagle. Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not what the angel who talked to Abraham looked like. I don't think he had 4 faces and the bear face was like, or the lion face was like, Abraham, and had to turn around and the eagle face being like, sorry, he's a little messed up today. I don't think that's what was happening. I think it was your normal angel like we read about today. Here in verse 6, you say, well, then why does everybody paint them like they've got wings or sculpt them like they have wings? Because the Bible describes them as flying on occasion. And way back in the day, before modern media, you couldn't imagine a thing flying without wings. Just defying gravity. Huh? Exactly. Where are Elphaba's wings? The monkeys have wings. Where are the wings for the broom? They don't, and yet it flies. Where are the wings for Superman?
On his back. It's cape. Well, depends on what you watch. Sometimes.
Have you ever seen Superman fly without his cape? Yes. Okay, and I'm gonna do another one for you. Some of you guys don't watch enough Dragon Ball Z. Right? Those guys fly all the time. They're flying all over the place. They don't have wings. Right? Angels don't have wings. And they can fly. Why? Because God gives them the ability to do so. If you can believe God spoke light into existence, we're going to believe the angels have to have wings to fly? Come on, guys. Because look at what he looks like here. She sees this angel. We know it's an angel. The Bible told us. And verse 3. An angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman. And then she comes down here in verse 6 and says, the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God came unto me. Angels are usually male. They don't have a gender, actually. Angels have no gender. But their appearance is more male than it is female. His countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God. His countenance, his face, he was glowing. When we say that this man was white, we're not talking about ethnicities. We're talking about the color. We're talking about a sheet of paper. We're talking about glowing like a light bulb. He looked like a light bulb. You remember reading about the ghost of Christmas past in A Christmas Carol? He was literally a light, a flickering flame. We're talking about a glowing light. His countenance was the countenance of an angel of God. Very terrible. How terrifying. You ever seen the Jim Carrey's animated version of A Christmas Carol? And it's literally that flame in the darkness. And it's creepy. It's creepy, that thing. I mean, it'll freak you out. Don't watch that scene. Some of those scenes, right before you go to bedtime. It's a little off-putting. Now imagine if that was real life. Imagine you can't have a baby, you're going out for a nice evening walk, the sun starts to go down a little low, and all of a sudden a glowing man just shows up in front of you. Amanda. You'd be a little freaked out. That's what happened to her. Very terrible. He was terrifying to look at, not because he was ugly. He wasn't like, her looking at her and go, oh, God, oh, are you Quasimodo? No? Okay. Who's Quasimodo? It wasn't like that. He's not ugly. He was terrifying to look at. He was glowing. She said, I asked him not whence he was, neither told me his name. Sorry. But he said unto me, behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Now drink no wine or strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death. So that is part of the vow of the Nazarite. But the angel distinctly separated those things, and we should consider that. Then Manoah, I love that name, entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. So Manoah has got a good head on his shoulders. This is why every Barbie comes with a kin. Okay? You can buy the Barbie. They encourage you to have a kin somewhere in the vicinity because women are the best of us. They are the hope. They are the joy. They want to help everybody. They want to believe everybody. They want to hand out flowers and hugs for everyone. And they are everything that's right with the world. And there are things and evil natures out there that would love nothing more than to take advantage of that. So God sent Eve with Adam and said, Adam, make sure that serpent don't talk to her again. Right? So this woman comes and she says, honey, I think I saw an angel and he told me I'm going to have a baby. So what he does is not, great, wonderful. He says, well, let's double check this. Let's make sure this is truly from God and not a trick from the devil. Because it could be either one. It could be that the wife just out too late started seeing things, right? That happens. So he wants to make sure this is from God. That's always a smart thing to do, folks. If you think you've heard from God, but you're not entirely sure, double check, right? Wait until you know you've heard from God. So that's what he does. He goes out and prays. He says, God, if this is truly you, send him again so that we can know for sure. And the Bible says in verse 9 that God hearkened to the voice of Manoah. He said, okay, deal. We'll make a bet. And the angel of God came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. Now notice, the angel didn't come to the man. The angel came to the woman. This is a big, important point because, as I've said many times before, if you need the miracle in order to believe, you cannot have the miracle. The miracle is not to help you believe. The miracle is a reward for those that already believed. The miracle was a foregone conclusion. It's just a matter of when it was going to show up. You don't need the miracle in order to believe. That's a good first step. So he shows up to the woman and not to the man because the woman already believed. And we know that from her conversation earlier. He showed up to me. He said we're going to bear a son. She's already excited about it. He's a little skeptical. He's double checking. So the angel shows up to her and not to him. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. That's what we were talking about a second ago. The woman made haste and ran and showed her husband and said unto him, Behold, the man hath appeared unto me that came unto me the other day. Angels do not just spawn in, by the way. They don't just pop in there like a video game character. It seems like they come from around the corner. It seems like they came out from behind that tree, like they've been there the whole time. It's an amazing thing. Manoah arose and went after his wife and came to the man and said unto him, Art thou the man that spakest unto the woman? And he said, I am. So he's allowed to speak to Manoah as well. Manoah said, Let not thy words, or said, Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? The angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. In other words, your wife knows what to do. Just do what your wife says. Huh.
I like that.
Isn't that interesting? Hey, your wife heard from God. Just shut up and do what your wife says. Are those crickets I hear? Oh, it got quiet. Folks, this was ancient Bible times. Just do what the wife says to do was not the common thing all the time throughout history. And yet it was always something that God never had a problem with. His angel speaking like he doesn't understand what the problem is. I've told you what to do once already. Why don't you just do what she already knows what to do? Well, that came from a woman. You see, women, they got a lot of uses, Manoah might think. But and the angel going, just do what I told her. Maybe she forgot, so I'll say it again. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine. Neither let her drink wine or strong drink. Interesting. Do you see a differentiation there? Did you see it? The Bible differentiated from things that come from the vine and then wine or strong drink. Huh. Maybe those are two separate things. How about? Maybe the wine that Jesus turned into from water wasn't alcoholic.
Well, then, Pastor, why would the Bible call it wine if it wasn't wine?
It was wine in 1611 when the Bible was translated. What else were they going to call it?
Well, Pastor, anything that's from the grape that's not alcoholic isn't wine, that's just grape juice.
The word grape juice wouldn't be invented for another 200 years after the Bible was written by the Welch family who created the company Welch's Grape Juice, who, by the way, created Welch's Grape Juice as a substitute for wine so that churches could have their communion without alcoholic wine. And they could have it more convenient and more easily. People started loving grape juice, and now it's a household name. The word grape juice didn't exist in Bible times. All they had when translating the Bible was the word wine. You are going to have to make your peace with that. Anyway, Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee. So, I think what's happening here is not... I could see where some people would think that this is them trying to worship the angel, which I guess technically they were, but I don't think that they thought this was an angel. I think we see that later on in the story. I think they thought this was God. It said, that's ridiculous. How can an angel be God? Well, we've seen God show up in human form, even before the New Testament. We've seen God show up to many of his people in the past, right? So I think they think they're worshiping God here, that this is God that's revealed himself and not just an angel. Because the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread, and if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto the Lord. Okay, so we're seeing the precedence being set here in Judges 13 that an angel may not be worshipped. Right? And for many of us, that's a foregone conclusion. But it's important to say it out loud because, as I've taught you before, if it's not in the Bible, then don't just believe it. If somebody says to you, should you worship angels? Is it okay to worship an angel or make an altar to an angel? You say no. Somebody says, why? You should have an answer for that. One such example is here. Angels that work for the Lord do not allow themselves to be worshipped. It says, for Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. Boom. There it is. Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, what is thy name? That when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor. Angels are just messengers. They're not interested in human honor or worship, which is what he's trying to do. He still thinks that this is God. He's trying to get the name of their God so he can worship God when the child is born, and he still doesn't get it. The angel of the Lord said unto him, why askest thou after my name, seeing it is secret? Okay, so there we go. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that, buddy. So there we go. We see it right there. The names of the angels are a secret. You know why a lot of Christians don't get into a whole lot of like the names of different angels and what they might be? I think there's an actual angel in Jewish tradition called Megatron. Yeah, like the Transformer. So he says, my name is secret. Angel names are secret. In other words, we'll find out when God is ready to reveal these things to us, probably during the end times. But don't worry about that because the end times will be fun for us. Yeah.
Then why do we know Michael and Gabriel?
Those are archangels. Those are a higher rank of angel. Right? So we know the dog is about to bark, by the way, guys. So you guys just prepare yourselves for that. Microphone's going to peak. It'll be okay. We'll get past it. Anyway. I don't know. So the archangels, we know their names. Michael, Gabriel, so forth. Like that. There's not an angel called so forth. That's just me expounding on them. I got to say that because there's going to be that one person who wrote down the names of the angels. Michael, Gabriel, so forth. That's a weird name. So forth. It's kind of like Manoah, though. Like it's got a good ring to it. But archangels we know, regular angels we don't. We might figure that out when we reach heaven. So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering and offered it upon a rock of the Lord. And the angel did wondrously. And Manoah and his wife looked on. So something amazing was happening with this angel. And it's going to tell us what here in just a second. But it's important to note that when they made this offering, they made it to the Lord. Right? They said that specifically so that you would know Manoah offered it to the Lord and not to this angel. He did the right thing. So he did wondrously. They looked on, it said, for it came to pass when the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, that they're making this burnt offering to the Lord, right? The angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. That would be so cool. He literally teleported. He literally fast traveled back to heaven. Anybody ever played Skyrim before? Like he literally went to the map and then like fast traveled back to heaven through this flame. That's amazing to me. Manoah and his wife looked on it and fell on their faces to the ground. I mean, I don't know how I would react. But I imagine it would be a similar sort of amazement. The angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. So now he understands it's an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to his wife, we shall surely die because we have seen God. So he's still not quite getting it. He's getting this was a supernatural being. This isn't a human person. So I'm starting to understand something. But he doesn't quite think that it's an angel. He still thinks that it's God, right? Like it's a pre-incarnate Christ that's manifested himself, right? And that's not what it is. His wife said unto him, so she's correcting his theology here a little bit. If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering in our hands. If he was going to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our offering and let the angel go up the way he did, as though we were in good standing. Neither would he have showed us all these things. Neither would he have come to us and said, hey, you're going to have a child. You're going to name it Samson. Don't eat these things. Don't cut his hair, if we weren't going to be around long enough to have a child named Samson in the first place. Anyways, so she's bringing him back to reality, and he's like, we just saw God. We's going to die. And she's like, calm down. He's not going to kill us. He just told us our son's name. Like he's not going to kill us. The son that hasn't even been born yet, right? He's not going to kill us. Relax. The woman, verse 24, bare a son, and they call his name Samson. Yeah, that Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol, which means nothing at all, except if you look at the maps, and it kind of tells you they're between a rock and a hard place a little bit. And Samson is there to save the day for them. Next week, we'll be in chapter 17, and we will begin the story of Samson. And the part that you know about Samson's life will take on more color and make more sense once you hear about chapter 14 of the story of Samson. So that's our lesson for this evening. Hey, thank you guys so much for being here. Be sure to pray for all these things, like we mentioned. Be sure to pray for each other daily, and again, click that like button, and that spreads this out and helps us out, and I appreciate that. And we'll be back on Sunday morning. It's going to be Cahoots this Sunday, so you guys study up. Kids, you might want to take a peek at Genesis 3 before Sunday. Take a look at that story in your Bibles. Look over those chapters in your Bibles so that you can do well in the Cahoots. Wouldn't hurt you adults either. If you can't be here physically, Cahoots is a game you can play with us online. So we can all play together, whether you're here or not. And that's why I love Cahoots, and it's so much fun in that way. You guys join us. It'll be a good time. We're looking forward to it. Everybody make sure you're good and healthy so you can be here on Sunday. Because it's always like missing your arm or something when somebody says they're not going to be able to make it. And we haven't had our whole church together in quite a few weeks. So really hope everybody's healthy and well. We will see you guys on Sunday for Cahoot Sunday. Crazy Hat Day.
No, I forgot.
This Sunday, Crazy Hat Day. You've only got a few days left. And Amanda's birthday. So if you want to bring something to humiliate her, that'd be awesome too. She threw something at my head.